Happy Thursday, Facebook friends. Welcome back to Facebook. I'm Angie Garza, Director of Professional Learning and Educational Services at ROE 47, serving Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. And if you're joining us today, it is the fine month of March, and we are busy celebrating not only spring, which hopefully will be coming soon, but we are also celebrating Women's History Month, which means that every Teacher Talk in the month of March is devoted to inspirational women in our communities and serving our children, our families, and our other stakeholder groups. And so we could not have these conversations every week without my dear friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus. So good morning, Ms. Stacy. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, Angie. Happy that it's March. Not happy that there's snow on the ground, but hopefully that's melting soon. St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, which means spring break, which any student, parent, and teacher, educator is happy about, a nice little break. So I'm looking forward to this month talking to women in education, a lot of very familiar faces that I'm kind of happy to share their story and highlight these great females that are doing great things in education.
Stacy, nothing brings me greater joy because we know that as women in education and in leadership, we have a strong and powerful voice that we want to make sure that we highlight and celebrate. And so without any further ado this morning, we would like to introduce our special guest to Teacher Talk this morning. Welcome to Teacher Talk, Kelly Mandrell, the superintendent of the Polo School District. Good morning, Kelly. How are you this morning?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your show today.
You are so welcome. We are so happy to have you. And Kelly, you have, I think each of us has our own story to tell, but we want to hear yours. So I'm going to start us off this morning. And if you could just introduce yourself to our viewers and tell them a little bit about how you were called to education and how you were called to this role in the Polo School District. It takes a lot of time and hard work and investment to grow ourselves professionally and move into those leadership roles. And we're really interested about your story.
So my name is Kelly Mandrell. I am the superintendent here in Polo. So a little bit about myself. My husband and I, John Mandrell, we live here in Polo. We have two daughters. They are Lainey and Macy. Lainey is an 8th grader and Macy is in 6th grade. So how I got involved in education, I would say I didn't have a choice. With that being said, here is why I didn't have a choice. It is without a doubt in my blood. My grandma was a teacher. My one aunt was a school nurse. My other aunt was a principal. My other aunt was an ESL teacher, and my mom was a kindergarten teacher / principal. And so without a doubt, it is in my blood. I had no other aspirations but to work in the education field. So with that being said, my career began, I would say, as early as when I was 16, and I started teaching swimming lessons at the YMCA in Dixon, and I absolutely adored it. My favorite group was, of course, the little ones, and just helping them learn and finding the ways to get them down to the deep end, because sometimes that was scary. And we were able to, work through what they needed to just help push them and get them to where it was okay, that you can do this. I was actually a dual credit student myself in high school. And so I got a whole year done prior to going to Augustana. I went out there in the mornings, and then Franklin Center at the time offered classes at night through our own instructors, and I took those classes at night. So I got a whole year done prior to going to Augustana. I went to Augie, and I was an elementary education major. And at the time, elementary education majors were a dime a dozen. So applying for a job, there were multiple people. In my first year, I actually subbed, which was great because as soon as I graduated from Augie, I also began my master's degree in school counseling at Western Illinois University. And so it was great. It worked out great. I was able to take my classes and go from there. I then got a job in Rochelle as a kindergarten teacher. And then I moved to Stillman Valley at Highland Elementary to be a 2/3 time kindergarten teacher so I could finish my practicum. And at that time, I also started my second master's of educational leadership to become a principal. And I really enjoyed both going to class at the same time. The funny story about going to get my principal degree, my mom and I actually went together, and we did it through the ROE in Grandy Tour with the Aurora cohort. And if you ask anybody about the Aurora cohort, they'll always mention the mother-daughter team, and that would be my mom and I. From teaching kindergarten, I jumped into being the school counselor at Forestville Valley School District. So I went from the little guys to junior high school counselor. So I worked at Forston for 7 years. I was their senior high counselor / attendance dean. It was fabulous, a great learning experience. And then from there, I became the principal at Pearl City Senior High School. And I did that for 7 years. And I have to laugh because my mentor there, Tim Thill, was my superintendent. And he came to me one day and he goes, "Have you ever thought about being a superintendent?" So I did. Aurora was having a cohort right in Dixon, which was fabulous. And I went on and got my doctorate and became a superintendent. I knew that I wanted to come closer. My girls were getting to the age where they had games and were getting involved in school, and I didn't want to miss it. And so when the job opening came available for Polo, I applied, and I have felt very lucky every day that I was selected as their superintendent.
Kelly, you have definitely been a busy lady. I appreciate hearing your history and where you've been, because as I shared before we started recording, I've known you for a very long time, but I do remember when you came on at Forston. I was leaving as the Forston High School ag teacher, and so enjoyed the time that we got to work together there. But now you're at Polo, so let's toot your own horn for a little bit. Tell us a little bit about the Polo School District.
Number one, without a doubt, my husband and I chose our house specifically because it was in the Polo School District. We have always loved living in a small town, and the Polo School met those needs. The great thing about the Polo School District is it is a community. The students are our family. Our teachers we're a family, and we work together. During COVID, I have been the superintendent, not the beginning of COVID, but for the past 2 years. And we have worked together as a family as well as with our community. And I cannot thank the community for their support during this unprecedented time. But the great thing about Polo is we offer our students so many different offerings for being such a small school. Right now, we have recently purchased a CNC machine, and we have a couple new 3D printers. So we have an industrial arts technology courses that we are offering here. We also are the highest outside of the big districts of the dual credit that are being offered through SOC. Along with that, we have also done major renovations to all 3 buildings, which just brings out the joy of the kids walking in and feeling that ownership in the buildings and really wanting to show off their space. Our teachers are very student-centered. We just won this past year. We are 2-time champs in 8-man football, back to back, because, well, there was a year without any championships, but we're still back to back. And we've had a couple of wrestlers down at state, and our basketball teams just keep improving and moving forward. So between athletics and academics, we really offer our kids the best of everything. Along with that, we have started a gaming club, which is great. And our band teacher is looking to start a jazz band. So we are really trying to offer our kids anything that they might be interested in.
Those are some incredibly exciting things happening in the Polo School District. It's great to see that growth despite everything that we've been through the last several years. Kelly, you probably saw my face as you were sharing your story. I was just struck by some of the similarities between us. I too am an Augie grad, go Vikings, and did not know that about you. And interestingly enough, my mother and I, we both did our administrative programs together. So, when I think about that, just how powerful, whether it's through your educational community, your investment in your own learning and the people that you meet along the way, or even your family members, how important it is to have people in your life who motivate and encourage and inspire you. So who inspires you? Who has inspired you to continue this love of lifetime learning and really to kind of move forward with your career, your vocation in education?
I would say there are definitely different people along the way that have inspired me at different points. Without a doubt, if I talk about my time in Pearl City, Tim Thill, the superintendent there, and Chris Wallace was the elementary principal. And without those two in their mentorship, I just would not be the administrator I am today. They're incredible people. And they pushed me to, like I said, go get my superintendent's degree. And we're very proud when I finished. So those two within the work setting have definitely been big supporters of me. And I couldn't have done it without those two. My parents, without a doubt, if anybody knows about going back to school, you need extra support. It takes a village, and it always takes a village. I don't care what anybody says. You may try and do it on your own, and maybe you're successful with it. I have learned that I need a support system, and without a doubt, my parents have been a support system. But my biggest supporter, without a doubt, would be my husband, John. He has always been at my side. We are a great team, and just pushing each other to not only improve ourselves academically, but just to continue to work with our kids and making sure that we don't miss a beat, which is really great. And so I really appreciate that. So as a superintendent, I would say the Ogle County Superintendent's Group, as well as, and I'm going to throw in Margot Empen as well, because and Ted Everett, just because this area, you can pick up the phone and you can call anybody and they will help you. Alex Kashner from Eastland has been a great support. He and I actually went and got our classes done together, along with Josh Nichols from Amboy and Jason Harper. The four of us were in classes together. So that was kind of nice to rehab them. But having the Ogle County Superintendent's Group and the Whiteside Superintendent's Group, the support that you get from these people, you can pick up the phone anytime and call them, and they are so supportive, willing to talk anything out with you, and just work through different questions that you may have. So anybody going into this profession, especially being the superintendent, with principals, typically there's more than one. But superintendents, you're kind of on an island, but not around here. You're not. You have many people in your corner, wanting to help you, wanting to see you succeed. And that is an incredible feeling.
Kelly, last question. As a mother of two girls, a female superintendent, and I guess this is kind of twofold of a question. Do you have any advice to young women, who are thinking about careers? And I suppose I should ask about the ongoing educator shortage that we have as well. We have a lot of females, and obviously male and females wanting to be teachers, but focusing on, women in education this month. What would you tell advice? What do you say to your girls about thinking about their future? And what would you say to any, students who are thinking about pursuing a career in education? Any advice that you would give them?
So I'm going to take that as twofold. First, I'm going to address any administrators or teachers who want to be an administrator and have young children. When I became a principal, Lainey, my oldest, was going into kindergarten, and so Macy was 3. So we're talking young. And I was also the high school administrator, junior high school, which means supervision and just extra late nights between things going on at the school. The thing that I realized was you put your family first, without a doubt. There are going to be nights where you are late, but on the nights you aren't late, you put away the work and you turn it off until they go to bed. And once they go to bed, if there's things that you need to catch up on, go ahead and do it and allow yourself to do it. But that time that you're home with them, read the story to them, rock them, do whatever it is that they want you to do. Because at the end of the day, you are mom. The second part is don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. You can do it. And if you need help, just ask. There have been times where, my neighbor has needed to pick up my children. My parents have picked up my girls, just due to my husband's schedule or my schedule, whatever it may be. And it's okay. You've got this. That does not make you any less of a mother. That does not make you weak. That means that you're putting your kids first and you knew what they needed. So when I say you can do it, you can do it. Okay. And also find that superintendent that is family oriented. They're out there. That does not mean they're going to let you get out of all your things, but they're going to understand. And they will work with you. The next part is the shortage. Like I said, when I came out as an elementary teacher, I was a dime a dozen. I substituted my first year. So with that being said, please, it is the most rewarding job that there is out there. Currently, I have one of my former students working for me, which is incredible. It's incredible to see her do her job, and she is an incredible school counselor. I've had many students reach out to me to still be their reference, and that's incredible that they want you to still be in their life and to hear what's going on. So please, if you're even thinking about it, I know that you look at the pay and you think, but I'm going to tell you that the things that you get back are tenfold. Plus, there's many opportunities for coaching. Plus, there's many opportunities during the summer. Like right now, I'm asking people if they would like to come in and paint, and we'll pay. It's just different things. But like every job, it's what you make it, and you have to love it. This is a job where you have to love it. And without a doubt, I hope that it comes across that I love my job. I love what I do every day. So even on the bad days, I love it. Just always remember to keep the doors open and push yourself out of that comfort zone, because you never know what you're going to like. Like I said, I told my superintendent, no, I'm not going to be a superintendent. And I love it. And I'm glad that he pushed me out of my comfort zone to do it.
Kelly, I have so many thoughts running through my head right now. You mentioned you sounded like a commercial. And in fact, I was indeed thinking I need to just take this recording and play it to as many people as I can. I was just really inspired by your words of encouragement and your reflection on your own experience and how it has helped you to grow and embrace, all of the things that you have wanted out of your life, and even thinking about, what it is that you hope for your own daughters. So thank you so much for that. And in fact, I have this wonderful talking about leadership and thinking about those journeys. Stacy's doing a book study right now called Dare to Lead. And there's this wonderful framed quote that I have from the book. And as you were speaking, one of the lines of the excerpt from the book says, "Choose courage over comfort." And I feel like, based on what you've shared today, that is certainly something that your life's journey has called you to do, to choose that courage over comfort, to choose maybe that road less traveled and trailblazed that road. So we want to say thank you so much for taking the time out this morning to talk with us about your journey, about your words of advice for young women, and actually anyone who's interested in our vocation of education. And I've always believed that education is a vocation, it's a calling, which is something that we certainly heard from you today. Stacy, we started out this morning by talking about the fact that we were talking about women who inspire us, but I think today what we heard was a little more than inspiration. It was about empowerment. And so I feel empowered, Dr. Kelly Mandrell, by your story. Thank you so much for taking the time out to share it with us. And we will be taking this recording on the road as a public service announcement for everyone considering the field of education. Thank you so much. In the words of Dr. Kelly Mandrell, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. So if you are considering a career in education, or if you're an educator, if you're a woman in education who's thinking about taking that next step in your vocation to becoming a leader in education, don't be afraid to do it. Don't let anyone stop you from doing it. And on that note, we are wrapping up this edition of Teacher Talk. We want to thank you so much for tuning in this fine Thursday. Stay tuned, because next Thursday we will be right back here on Facebook with another inspiring and empowering story about another woman in education. So in that interim, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, an even better Friday. Hopefully the snow will stay away this weekend so you can have a nice, relaxing weekend. And we will see you right back here next Thursday for another edition of Teacher Talk.